No, you don't have to have your cameras turned on. It's not a have to. All right, so we'll get started here in just a few minutes. Can everybody hear me okay? If so, type in the box yes, or let me know. Okay, I'm going to do a quick test here just to make sure that I can change camera views real quick. So bear with me. Oh, and it's backwards. Oh. Alright, let me see if I can change my video settings to flip this the other direction for all of you. There we go. Now I think you guys will be able to see just fine as I start to go through some stuff. The biggest reason that I wanted us to be able to at least meet together real quick is because I know with this whole online learning stuff, you didn't anticipate having to online learn Math 152 at all. So I wanted to be able to touch base with you and see if you liked this type of format better, as far as maybe being able to, as we go through some stuff, and or if you like the pre-recorded videos. Okay, so So that was one of the biggest things. And we'll be just a few more minutes because since I had said 6 o'clock, so we're going to wait on others if they're going to be joining us, and then we're going to get started. The goal tonight, we're going to go through 6.1 and 6.2. It will not take an hour. They are actually very short sessions or sections, but I do want to make sure that you guys understand how you can do some of this stuff in the calculator. So we're going to go through that together, and then I'll show you what's going to be coming up next for you and what's going to be the requirements from this point forward and how we're going to extend how long you have to do everything, okay? I'll be back with you in just a few minutes.
He's doing addition, subtraction, working with words, and it's really allowing him to excel in school. Your child Head Start can make all the difference. ABCmouse.com, proud sponsor of Disney Junior. When Snack calls, making a fun adventure for the whole family. Baby knows a proud sponsor of Disney Junior.
So how's everybody been adjusting? That's all right. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. You can totally mute the video if that makes you feel better. It doesn't matter to me. It's all good.
You know how long it's going to be like this?
Yes, I actually got an update email today. They were going to just do, well, it's mandated until at least April the 9th, I believe. And then, but they foresee that it will extend for the remainder of the semester.
Oh. Oh.
So anyhow, it's going to be an adjustment, needless to say. But we can do it, and we'll be able to do it together, and all will be okay. I promise. Just the bigger part is that many people will, you know, have to find a way to do things in a simplified kind of setting, or find you a space where, you know, you can be able to work. Because I know for me, it was easier too, where I'm away from kids, and the noise of the TV, and everything like that. And so, like right now, you might hear cartoons in the background as we're going through this, because everything's going to be a big adjustment. So.
You know how long this is gonna last for, like the class tonight? Like it's gonna last our usual hour.
Oh, the class tonight?
Yeah.
It's not going to be very long, like 30 minutes max.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I put down an hour because it was just easier to block it out that way on the Zoom meeting thing instead of going through and like doing each minute. But I doubt it's even going to be that long. We'll do an example out of each of these and make sure that you guys feel okay about it, and then we'll be in good shape. Okay? Sound good to everybody? Okay, well, I've got 6 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So the assignments that you guys have that are already, they're up. And if you guys will mute your mics on your end, that would be great for right this minute. Thank you. But the lessons that you guys have, 6.1 and 6.2, they're already available on Pearson Online. My math lab, but then they will not be due until like a week and a half. So I'm going to start bumping everything even a little bit further. What we had currently, when everything broke out, basically got extended until the end of the month. Okay, so if you're still playing catch up a little bit, that's okay. I posted a video earlier today that went through the 5.4.21. Yeah, I think it was about question number 5 on section 5.4. So if you want to go through that and be able to see that step by step, if you guys have homework questions from this point forward, that's what I'm going to try to do. So go ahead and let me know what problem it is, where it is, send me a picture of it. I'll do a little recording or whatever and then post it in Blackboard. Okay. So going forward, everything you've got your week to week and a half, just like, you know, we had a week before. But now everything's going to be posted, or I'm going to try to have it posted, like everything that's coming out today that we're going over today was posted a couple days ago. So if you wanted to preview it and things like that, we'll do that. We'll try to do at least one live session every other week, because I know everybody can't do every week. Life gets crazy and hectic like that. So we'll shoot for every week, but at least every other week. Okay. I'll give you plenty of notice so that way if you can arrange it, then that would be great. If not, then I totally understand. But just keep me updated. I'll keep you updated. And my goal is to make sure that I'm recording all of our sessions. But this is our attendance. Okay. So as we have logged into Zoom tonight, this is how we're going to be doing attendance. So if it's, you know, one of those nights where you can't stay on the whole time, that's okay. But as long as you can get logged into our session when we do have a live session, then that counts as you being present for the class for the week. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into 6.1 and 6.2. If you've got your calculator or something to write with, write on, that's fine. If not, like I said, this will be posted, but I just want to make sure as we go through that you have the tools you need. So, but your calculator will be one, and I've got a new thing that I can record stuff online. So after I show you actually on my calculator, I'll record it so that you have keystrokes that go in as well. Hi, Cara.
Hey!
I've asked everybody to mute mics while we go through the lesson, if
Okay.
that's okay with you guys. And then as if you have a question or whatever, feel free to unmute and ask, or you can
Okay.
type it in the box in the comment chat area, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, so for section 6.1, the first part that they were going through is discrete variables versus continuous. And we've talked a little bit about this before because discrete was the one, oh, sorry, it got, let me see if I can get that focused again. Autofocus went out on me, hang on. So for our discrete, this one's gonna be the one that we can count. So countable. And our continuous is the one where we have measurable. Okay. So our countable is our ones where how many cups of coffee somebody drank. Our continuous would be our blood pressure or our height, things that we would have had to measure. So we have talked about these before, and they come back around in this particular section again. The biggest difference at this point, though, is that we don't have individual data points. It gives us charts where we have probabilities of each given to us. So I'm going to give you an example of what one of these is going to look like. We're going to have like X and then probability of X listed below it. And then this might be 2, 3, and 4. So it might go all the way up to there. And like 0 might have been 0.16, and then 0.38, 0.16 again, 0.11. And then they might even leave the fourth one blank. And they would ask, okay, so what does it need to be in order to make it a probability distribution? And we've talked about probability distributions before, that those probability distributions, they need to add up to 1. So if we do that one, we should end up with 0.19 that would be left. Now, if I got that wrong because I was doing it too fast, y'all let me know. But that should be our leftover. So if you have a table that you have to fill in, you want all probabilities need to add to 1, okay? Because we talked about that also in the past about that has to be the 100%. And as we're going through stuff, the decimals is going to be as a 1, okay? With these charts they're going to give you, one of the things, so that might be the first thing they ask is what would it have to be to create it as a probability distribution. The second thing that they're going to ask you is they're going to say find the mean, okay? Now this is a little bit different than how we've done it before, because before we had raw data points where we have a number, a number, a number, a number. So to do it for this one, this is where you're going to need your graphing calculator, okay? And I'm going to try to do this so that you guys can see it. And like I said, I'll do it on a digital format also. Let's see if we can get this. I'll focus it just 1 second. Hang on. There we go. All right. So for the calculator part, let's see if I can get this here. Okay, I'm going to do a quick pause. Let me get my digital one that'll show up brighter. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to try to do this share. Oh, here it is. I knew I had that right there. Okay, let's see. Sorry, all this stuff new for me too, guys, okay? That better? All right. So now, for when we're entering our data in, we're going to go to our stat and edit just like we have before. If we need to clear out any data points, we'll highlight, hit clear, hit enter. Everything that's in your X part right here, the 0, the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4, all of those are going to go under your L1. Then all of the probabilities that you're being given are going to go under your L2. Okay, now we can still use our calculator to find our mean. We can still use our calculator to find our standard deviation. So just like we did in the other, when we just had single individual data points, we went to stat, we go over to calc, and we would do our 1-var stats. But now you have the first list says L1, but now where it says frequency list, last time we never filled it in. Now we're going to fill it in and tell it to use the probabilities, which are listed under L2. So to get that L2 to show up, we hit second and the number 2. Okay, and so then it's going to say, okay, I need to look at both of these lists. I need L1 coupled with L2 in order to make this happen. Then we go to calculate and we'll hit enter. And so now we have our mean, which will still be with our X bar. And then our standard deviation, notice it's not with S of X anymore, but it's right here. So I've got my mean and my standard deviation both given to me by doing this one. So my mean for this, for my X bar, would be a 1.79 for this particular table. My standard deviation is going to be a 1.3586 for this particular data set. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, I got one head shake. If you don't have your camera on, you got to tell me like yes or no in the comments. Okay. Alrighty. So same process. The only difference is now where it says frequency, you've got to make sure that you put that in as your L2. So I'll go through it one more time real quick. We went to stat. We went to edit. We entered all of our X's under L1, our probabilities under L2. We went to stat, calc, 1-var stats, and we had to make sure L2 was right next to that frequency list. Now, if you do not have a calculator that's asking you for those menus, let's say you have a TI-83 or maybe a TI-83 Plus, and as soon as you go to your 1-var stats, it's just asked you have to type in your L1. Your biggest difference then is that you're going to put the L1, then you're going to use your comma button, and then you're going to put your L2. And that's usually only for the TI-83s or the 83 pluses. That was, and it's if it's an older calculator and it didn't get updated to the new operating system. And if you get stuck on any of this and you want me to look at it, literally take a picture of what your screen is saying when you're in under your 1-var stats, and I will be happy to be able to direct you from that point forward, okay? All right, so that's the biggie part of this one. The next couple questions that they would ask you that goes along with these types of problems, what it might say, what's the probability that they would have 2 activities? If they say a probability that equals a number that's here, so if it was probability that we have 2, then that's literally just reading the chart, and it's going to be whatever that particular probability was that was in there, okay? If they have something such as if it says probability that X is 2 or 3, then we're actually just going to take these guys and we're going to add them up, okay? It seems a little too simple, but that's actually how we do these ones with these charts, okay? So my 0.61 plus my 0.11, then we end up with a 0.27 there for a 2 or a 3, okay? Questions on this? This is all 6-1.
I should have asked earlier, but how did we get the 0.19?
All of these have to add up to 1.
Okay, so I would just take the 0.16, 0.38, 0.1611, and then add that up, and then subtract it by 1.
Correct. And then whatever is left, that's what's going to go in whatever the blank is that they have there.
Okay,
Good
thank
question.
you.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right, so moving on to the next one, 6.2. All right, so for 6.2, this is starting where we're talking about whether something is binomial or not. Okay, now the good thing is we can do a lot of this part with the calculator as well, but the first things that we have to do is we have to determine if something is binomial or is not binomial. Let me refocus real quick. Okay, so the biggest thing for something to be binomial is that you're going to have a fixed number of times that each thing actually happened. Okay. The other thing with it is that you're going to need to have two options. You're also going to need to have independence, and your probability needs to stay the same. Okay. Now, there's a mnemonic device kind of used to remember how to check for binomial. So for binomial, you want to check bins, B-I-N-S. Okay. So the B part is going to be binomial or binary for your two options. Now, when we say that there's going to be two options, you could say that if we were talking about probability of having a girl for someone who's giving birth. So they either have probability of having a girl or probability of not having a girl. We don't say a girl or a boy. You just have that it is or that it is not. Okay. You could have that somebody drank the cup of coffee or they did not. If you can phrase it to where you have a yes and a no, a true or a false, in any of those kind of senses, and that's where your binary part or your binomial portion of that's going to come in. Your independent is next. And we talked about this before, that independent is going to mean that just because you have taken a probability once, it does not affect the probability of the second time. Okay? So everything is independent of each other. One does not affect the other. This N is going to represent your number of trials. And for us, that means it's going to be a fixed number. So that's saying, if the birth situation, it might say out of 10 births, what's the probability of having a girl on the second time? There's a specific number of births that they're looking at. So if I say out of 10, out of 15, out of 22, that is your fixed number of trials. Okay, then the last one, your probability of success. This one is going to make sure that it is the same. Every time that we talk about if someone's having a birth, that probability that they're going to have a girl or not have a girl is going to be the same probability every time. It's not going to change from one to the next. All right. Yes, Madison.
Something was happening when you said what independent was. So how do I know if something is independent?
Independent means that once you do something once, it's not going to affect the probability the second time. Like when we roll the dice, when we flip a coin, any of those things, I can do it any set number of times, and my probability of the outcome will not change, and it's independent every time I flip. Just because I flipped it 4 times, that doesn't mean it's going to be any different on the 5th time.
I have a question.
Yes.
So like on the homework, or it's like says like if you flip a coin like 52 times or something. I don't have it up, but it's asking like what's the chance or the probability. How do I do that?
Okay, well that's going to be, this part is going to explain that, I hope, because we're going to do one of those. Because if it tells you how many times it's going, So that's going to be your set number of trials. Okay, and then if you know every single time that your flip of your coin would be 50-50, there's your probability of success, 0.5. It's independent because every time you flip the coin, it's going to be the same process every time. Binomial, you have two options. It's either going to land on heads or it's not going to land on heads. Okay?
Okay.
So to do these binomial probabilities, you're going to need three things to do these, and it's going to be with your calculator, okay? So what you have is your N, your P, and your X are going to be the letters that you're going to be using to represent these in our binomial probabilities, okay? Your N is your number of trials, okay? Your P is going to be your probability of success. And your X is the number of success you are looking for. Okay? So let me give you an example. If we said we flip a coin, we'll do 20 times. What is the probability of 3 heads for that to land on? Okay? So, first thing you ask yourself, is it binomial? Are there two options? Well, yes, it's either going to land on heads or it's not. So the B, check. Independent. Anytime I flip a coin, that probability is not going to affect the probability of the next time I flip it. So yes, it is independent. Number of trials. Is it actually telling me a fixed number of times I'm going to flip the coin? Yes, 20 times. Then success. Will the probability stay the same from the first flip to the next flip to the next flip? Yes, that's not changing. So for something like this would be, what's the probability then that X is going to equal 3 for binomial probabilities? Okay? So to get to this in your calculator, okay, I'll pull it up here. All right, if you go to second and vars, that brings up your distribution menu, okay? If we scroll down a ways, it's about the 11th one, 10th one down, right around there. But the one you're looking for is binomial PDF. If it wants an exact number of times that something is happening, to where it's equals, exact number of times something is happening, then we're looking for binomial PDF. A particular point is how I always tell people to remember that, okay? So you choose that one, and then, and this goes the same with when I said older calculators may not tell you what those 3 first things are, but everything is going to be in the order that we just wrote it down. Your number of trials, your probability of success, and then how many you're looking for. So for us on here, it's telling us because of this menu. So the number of trials that I had, I flipped the coin how many times? 20. So that's going to be my first number. The p-value. What was the probability that the coin would land on heads? It was 50%, so I put 0.5. The x value I'm looking for, how many did it, or I want to know that 3 of them landed that way. So I put 3 right there. And then we go to paste. And if your calculator doesn't have the updated menu, yours might look like this to start with, where it'll say binomial PDF, and then it just has an open parentheses. And you would type these numbers in just with commas between them. You'd have your number of trials, comma, your probability, comma, and then your number of times of success that you're looking for. You hit enter, and right there is going to be the probability that you're going to get 3 heads out of those 20 times. Okay. Okay. Questions on that binomial PDF?
So how to do that in the calculator one more time?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Okay, so to get to it, we go to second, we go to VARs, and we go scroll down until you get to binomial, B-I-N-O-M, PDF, because we're dealing with a particular point. And then we're going to fill in our numbers of our trials, our probability, and the number that we're looking for as the exact one. And we let it run, and there's our probability that we would have 3 of those land on heads out of the 20 times we flip the coin. Okay, we okay so far? Any other questions?
Did everything the way you did it, and it came up with the 20, the 50, and the 3. But when I hit enter, it said error.
Angie, I can't hear you very well. Can you say that one more time?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I did everything the way you did on your calculator.
Uh-huh.
I did the same way. And when I hit enter, at the end, you know, the last one is paste. So when I hit enter, I have the 20, the comma, 50, comma, 3, comma. And then when I hit enter, it says error. I don't
Did you do
have-
0.5?
No. Okay.
All good, all good. See, I'd rather it be now than we can actually fix it. This is great.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, so how does everybody feel about it so far? We okay?
Good.
What all numbers did you put in? Like the 20, the 0.5, and then what?
And then the last one would be how many times I want it to actually end up on something. So if it wanted 10 out of the 20, I would have changed the 3 to the 10. If I wanted 15 out of the 20, I would have changed that to a 15. So whatever that last number is how many exactly you want to have happen. Now with binomial, it also has ones for less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. But I'm going to add those in on separate little small videos so that you guys can see the differences in the 4 of them. And I'm going to add those in, and they'll be up tomorrow that you guys can view those on your own. Okay?
Are you putting commas in between the numbers? Because I can't see it from here, but it looks like 20, comma, 5.
Yes, it's 20, comma, 0.5, comma, and then 3. Okay. Alrighty. Well, we'll close up for this evening. If you guys, hang on, let me switch the camera back real quick. Let's see if I can here. Hey.
Hi.
So I hope that everything is going okay for everybody. I know this is probably a big adjustment for everyone. I hope nobody has lost jobs or anything like that through all this really awkward kind of once in a lifetime stuff going on. But if y'all need anything, please reach out. And I just want to make sure that you know that. You can send me an email, you can send me a text, whatever you need. Please make sure that you let me know. And if I can help in any way, you know I will. But we'll get through this, and I know you'll still be successful because I'm still here. Send me questions. I'll make videos of everything, and we'll make it, okay? So I'll put up a schedule probably tomorrow for the next week, so you have plenty of time to plan and all that wonderful stuff. Sound great?
Are we still having a party when we come back?
Dude, yes, as soon as we get back, we are having pizza, I promise. Either that, or I'm just going to have to get everybody's address, and then I guess
Don't
we'll
forget
just
the
have to,
ranch,
send it around.
Christian.
I'll bring the ranch.
You bring the ranch.
We've got to at least have one day where we can all meet together, whether it's on campus or not. We'll just have a day. We'll all say, okay, we're meeting here. We'll have a big pizza party.
I'll bring my quarantine suit.
Okay, sounds good. All right, y'all take care of yourselves, and I will see you really soon.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.